The NBA is often defined by its historic moments. A single shot can elevate a team to newfound heights, while vice versa sink another franchise's hopes and dreams for a significant amount of time. One solitary play can change the landscape of the entire NBA as we know it. And while every team has had its fair share of big shots, some teams' marquee moments have clearly been more compelling than others. What's up guys, Colin here with the Western Conference edition of this two-part series wherein I rank the top clutch shots of every NBA franchise. If you missed out on the first part, which was on the Eastern Conference teams, I highly recommend you check that one out. The link will be on the screen right now and as well in the description. To refresh your memory, I'll be using a simple metric in trying to objectively rank these shots, and there are three factors. The first is shot difficulty. That's pretty much straightforward. A wide open layup might be harder than a pressure-packed free throw, but that's also much easier than a contested jumper. Second is game or series context, which takes into account if it's in the finals or the first round, game 1 or game 7, or whatever the score or time left was during the said play. And finally, overall league impact. How much did that one shot change the NBA landscape and alter the history of the league? Of course, it's not a perfect metric, but I think it gets the job done, though I'd love to hear whether you guys agree or disagree with my list down in the comments below. I've also done my best to make sure I selected the play that best represents each of the franchises, but if you think I missed out on your team's biggest play, feel free to let me know in the comments as well. Without further ado, let me get started on the Western Conference version of the all-time clutch shots.
4-point lead for the Pelicans. Shot clock down to 5. The Holiday pull-up. Bullseye!
This dagger from Jrue Holiday in 2018 helped the Pelicans clinch the first-round series sweep over the higher-seeded Portland Trail Blazers and also made them advance to the Western Conference semifinals for the first time since 2008. But beyond that, this moment felt like pure hope for a future with Anthony Davis and the team that they built around him. We all know now that that dream would never really come to fruition, but there is someone new in town together with a bunch of young core pieces who are a good bet to have some great moments of their own to help them move out of the cellar of this list.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn. His heave is good! Memphis on top! 7/10 remaining.
The 2017 season was the last true year of the grit and grind Grizzlies, but they obviously didn't want to go down without a fight. Down 2-1 to a superior Spurs squad, this home game was a must-win for them to have any chance of pulling off an upset. And despite 43 points from Kawhi Leonard, Marc Gasol would have the final say in overtime with this tough angled shot over LaMarcus Aldridge to tie the series at 2 apiece. The Grizzlies would go on to lose this series, signaling the end of the grit and grind era, which ironically truly began when the Grizz upset the same Spurs in the 1-8 matchup in 2011.
Salao in the fourth quarter from the free throw line, 5 of 5.
It was 2004, and KG and his Minnesota Timberwolves had the opportunity to advance to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in franchise history. Being in the second round was actually already history made for the franchise that had lost in the first round for the prior 7 years in a row, but they weren't about to rest on their laurels. Despite the resilience of a scrappy Kings team that just wouldn't die, Sam Cassell hit 2 clutch free throws in Game 7 to punch the Wolves' big ticket to the Western Conference Finals and a date with the Kobe and Shaq Lakers. The Wolves have only made the playoffs one time since KG left town, but in this moment in 2004, with a prime Kevin Garnett flanked by Cassell, Latrell Sprewell, and Wally Szczerbiak, the Wolves definitely felt like anything was possible.
Game for the Nuggets. Carmelo defended by Antoine Wright. And there's the foul. They didn't call it, and Carmelo hits it!
In his first ever trip to the second round in 2009, Carmelo Anthony did not disappoint. With his team already up 2-0 against the Mavs, the game was by no means a must-win for the Nuggets, but Melo decided to step on the Mavs' throats anyway. After converting on a 2-for-1 with 28 seconds left to cut the lead to 2, Anthony again had the ball in his hands with the game on the line. Despite stumbling twice and clearly being fouled intentionally with no call, Melo drained a go-ahead 3 to help the Nuggets take a commanding 3-0 lead in the series. This was also the same year Melo made his lone run to the conference finals in what was the most defining playoff run of the roller coaster career of Carmelo Anthony.
Back to Bibby, has the open shot.
As we saw in the T-Wolves segment, the Kings are often on the wrong end of some playoff pixie dust. The Kings' misfortune is the top of mind when remembering this 2002 Western Conference playoff series against the LA Lakers, largely due to Robert Horry's soul-crushing 3 in Game 4 and the ensuing controversial referee issues that plagued the latter part of the series. It's easy to forget that this epic Kings moment happened in the game that immediately succeeded the Horry game winner. Love him or hate him, Mike Bibby balled out in this series a la Fred VanVleet and averaged 23 points in 7 games, including this go-ahead basket with under 10 seconds in Game 5 to put the Kings up 3-2 over the mighty LA Lakers and just one win away from the NBA Finals.
A 3 wins the series. It's Lillard. He got the shot off. Lillard, good! And the Blazers!
Although Lillard hit an equally insane shot against OKC last year, this one against the Rockets is better for a few reasons. First off, the Blazers were down 2 in this game instead of just a shot to break a tie. Next, it was a 3 on the move with less than a second left in the game during the inbounds pass, which arguably makes the circumstances a little bit more difficult than the one against OKC. There was also the fact that a miss would mean a Game 7 back in Houston rather than still being up in a series against OKC. And lastly, and most importantly, it brought Portland their first playoff series victory since the turn of the millennium.
And the Blazers win the series for the first time in 14 years!
And thus, Dame time was born.
Green on Paul. And God, he got it! 1 second left!
In a first-round matchup between two West heavyweights, Chris Paul delivered the knockout punch right before the 12th round bell. Not only did he have to take on pressure from a stout defender in Danny Green, but meeting him in the paint was one of the greatest rim protectors of all time in Tim Duncan. But somehow, someway, Chris Paul got the shot off from basically his hip to propel his team to the second round. Unfortunately for the Clippers, that run will be remembered more because of their choke job to the Rockets in the semis, which ruined what was likely the Lob City era's best shot at a finals run.
Durant, the scoring champ, from the top against Marion. Durant, pull-up jumper, up the rim, and oh!
This 2012 first-round series between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks felt like the changing of the guard. Dallas was the defending champion and got past OKC last year to get there, but this time the Thunder were the higher seed and had home court advantage. Despite that, the veteran Mavs were just one stop away from stealing Game 1 in OKC, which would have been a gut punch to a very young Thunder squad that had yet to get over the hump. Enter Kevin Durant, down 1 with the game on the line. He sized up Sean Marion from the top of the key and floated a high arcing shot over a pair of outstretched arms. KD's heroics gave them a lead for the series and eventually the momentum to make the finals for the first time in Thunder history.
No timeout. Don't have any timeouts. They got time though. Just get it down the court. They've got to do that and get it in front court. Then it's three-pointer. Good.
Shout out to all the Seattle fans out there. I didn't forget about you guys. We're going way back for this one to 1980. The Supersonics were in their golden years then, fresh off their first and only NBA title in 1979. This was the first year that the three-point line was introduced, and Dennis Johnson wasted no time in breaking it in for the playoffs. This sequence was absolutely nuts. With the score tied, Milwaukee scored off an untimely turnover to give the Bucks a 2-point lead. But DJ saved the day, hitting the first of many historic playoff three-pointers to grace the history books of the NBA.
It's his game to win. Will we go to overtime? Barkley, 20-footer, yes!
This 1993 semifinal series between the Phoenix Suns and San Antonio Spurs looked like it was definitely headed for a Game 7. The Suns found themselves down by double digits in the fourth quarter until a furious rally brought the score tied with seconds to play. In this iconic moment, Charles Barkley took on David Robinson one-on-one and dribbled into a 20-footer to sink the Admiral and his crew. The Suns would eventually reach the finals for the second time in their franchise's history this year, but fell short at the hands of you-know-who.
Durant. Incredible opportunity.
Durant for three. It's good. Kevin Durant from downtown.
Down 2-0 in the 2017 NBA Finals, the Cavaliers were in a must-win situation. Going 2-1 would make it a series, but 3-0 is a straight-up death sentence. The Cavs were in control for most of Game 3, but then the Warriors' ace in the hole was unleashed to ensure that there would be no repeat of the prior season's collapse. Kevin Durant went on a 7-0 run all by himself in the final minute of Game 3, including this absolutely balls-out 3 over LeBron James to give Golden State the lead with 45 seconds left. This shot may have been overkill, but it was basically the equivalent of a championship-clinching shot since no team has ever come back from 3-0.
Stockton, open three, hit it! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Final!
The Utah Jazz were raring to get back to the finals for a rematch with Jordan and the Bulls, but they had to get past a stacked Rockets team to get there. In one of the most impressive fourth quarter performances in playoff history, John Stockton scored 15 in the decisive fourth quarter, including this three-pointer with under 3 seconds left to win the series and a date with the Chicago Bulls. John Stockton may have denied the top two teams of the 90s from facing each other in the finals, but this shot at least also gifted us with one of the most iconic playoff series and shots in NBA history.
Too long, though. Ellie out of the corner for three. Hit it! Mario Ellie with a...
The Houston Rockets were the defending champions in 1995, but they entered the playoffs as clear-cut underdogs. They hobbled into the postseason as the 6th seed and needed to overcome the top 3 seeds in the Western Conference for them to repeat. After going the full 5 games against the 60-win Jazz in the first round, the Rockets found themselves staring down Charles Barkley and the 59-win Suns in the second round. After falling behind 3-1, the Rockets surged forward with an epic comeback, culminating with this shot from Mario Ellie, followed by what is now known as the Kiss of Death in Game 7 on the road. They powered through 4 near 60-win teams as the lowest seed to ever win an NBA championship. After sweeping the Magic to win their second NBA title in a row, Coach Rudy Tomjanovich busted out his historic line,
"Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion."
Now they have Prince on Ginobili, Hunter on Parker. Here's Ginobili. Oh, they look open for 3.
A member of that same 1995 Rockets championship team I just mentioned, Big Shot Bob, as we also saw earlier, is known for making some of NBA history's most iconic clutch shots. But in this pivotal Game 5 of the 2005 NBA Finals, he basically served up the Spurs' 3rd championship on a silver and black platter all by himself. Despite averaging just 6 points during the regular season, Ori scored 13 points in the fourth quarter and 5 of the Spurs' 6 points in overtime, including this no-hesitation 3 to give San Antonio the lead with under 6 seconds to play. you can't say the man didn't earn those 7 rings.
7 to shoot. Nowitzki drives, goes underneath, lefty layup, banks it in with 3.6 remaining.
The Dallas Mavericks were dead in the water. Facing a 1-0 deficit to the Heat in the 2011 finals, they found themselves down by 15 in Game 2 with about 6 minutes left in the game, and the deja vu of 2006 seemed like it had already seeped into the team's play. But led by Jason Terry, the Mavs supporting cast went on a furious rally to get them within striking distance, just in time for Dirk Nowitzki to finish the job. Dirk scored the team's final 10 points and put on this beautiful exhibition of footwork against Chris Bosh to get off the game-winning layup using his offhand. Not only did this eventually bring Dallas its first championship and deny LeBron his for another year, but it also immortalized Nowitzki's status as one of the greatest players of all time. As one of the NBA's legendary franchises, the LA Lakers have some of the most memorable clutch plays in NBA history. There's Jerry West's 60-foot heave during the 1970 NBA Finals. Kobe Bryant, of course, has countless plays throughout his 20 years and 5 rings in the purple and gold. There's Derek Fisher having his unbelievable shot with 0.4 seconds left in the 04 semis. And of course, the aforementioned shot by Robert Horry against the Kings also deserves a mention. But none of them are as iconic or as impactful as this play.
Aaron Scott is in the ball game now. 5 seconds to go. Magic with a hook shot, scores with 2.
In Game 4 of the 1987 NBA Finals, the third and final matchup between Magic's Lakers and Bird's Celtics, Magic had the ball down 1 with seconds left to play. Facing the outstretched arms of Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale, there was only one way he was going to be able to get that shot off. In one of the most legendary moments in NBA history, Magic rose up for a skyhook to win the game and eventually the title, providing the picturesque ending that the NBA's most storied rivalry deserved. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to catch part 1 on the Eastern Conference, I promise there are some insanely iconic shots there. The link is on the screen right now. And there's another box on the screen also showing other videos if you want to see more from this channel. Again, leave a comment down below on what you think of the list and if it did your team justice. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.